So today is a very, very big day in the CS2 world because all of the new armory items, whether it be the fever cases, whether it be the items that you've opened from fever cases, or whether it be skins from the Train 2025 collection, they are now officially marketable, tradable, sellable today, which also means, obviously, if you have those items, you can start cashing them out, selling them, trading them, doing whatever you want, but also people can start buying them. But also, we're starting to find out what the actual prices of some of these items are, what the ROIs of some of these collections and stuff are going to be, and this case is going to be. Obviously, things are going to change a ton from day to day, but today we actually finally do get to take a look at the prices of these things. That's what we're going to be doing in this video today. But of course, first, I just want to mention my cash trading business. If you guys are looking to sell any of your CS2 items, turn them into cold hard cash, crypto, or any other payment method, definitely hit me up over on Twitter. It's going to be that first link in the description below. Obviously, we like to get those big deals done. So if you have any knives, cases, bolt cases, gloves, expensive skins, maybe you're looking to sell your entire inventory, whatever, I would love to help you cash out safely, effectively, and efficiently. And of course, by selling to me, you're helping support me, my channel, my content. I have a lot of people asking about the new armory items right now. I literally even had people DMing me like, hey, I want to sell to you before the prices crash. Like, hey, I'm not going to buy right before the prices crash. I'm going to wait a couple days, but maybe a week from now, something like that, I will start buying some of the new armory items. But of course, if you're looking to sell some of the old armory items, I'm buying the dip on those as well right now. With that being said, let's get right into this video today. So, some of the most interesting stuff from this new CS2 update is obviously the knives, and here we are on Buff 163. There's a million different ways you can check prices. You can check prices on Steam, you can check prices on Float, you can check prices on other third-party marketplaces, whatever. But to me, Buff 163 is still the most, comprehensive aggregate of prices and of sales and of market data and all that stuff. So yeah, Buff 163 is still really, really good. Not as good as it maybe used to be, obviously, before the Westerners got kicked out, but still very, very, very good. So this is what I love taking a look at. And right now, obviously, one of the most interesting items is definitely going to be that skeleton knife Doppler, seeing what the heck is going on with these. And so far, right now in Buff 163, the cheapest skeleton knife Doppler, if factory new that you can get, is going to be a phase 1 for $16.53. Now, obviously, there's not very many of these listed. There's not been very many of these pulled. So these prices are not going to be totally accurate. Obviously, right now, day one is the most volatile day. Prices are going to be going up and down and all over the place on all these different items. But also, there's not very many of any of these even in existence. So again, take it with a grain of salt. One thing to definitely look at, though, is sales data, because that will show us what people have actually been doing for these things. So we do have here, this is going to be a phase 1 that just sold a little bit ago for $1,567. So that seems like the going rate for one of those right now. We did see, this is very insane, a couple of skeleton knife rubies have sold for over $10,000. Here's a skeleton knife ruby that sold for $10,697. Here's another skeleton knife ruby right here that sold for $10,220. So that's multiple sales above $10,000 for that. I don't know if this is a sapphire, and I can never tell the difference between the finishes. Here we have a sapphire that sold for about $7,500. We have another sapphire that sold for around $7,300. We have a black pearl that sold for $5,800. Like, should the black pearl really be half the price of the ruby? I don't know. That's at least what we're going with right now. We have a phase 2 here that sold for $29.82. So that is something to keep in mind. Right now, there's only 5 of these Dopplers listed in factory new in the normal wear. 3 phase 1s. We have a phase 4 listed for $2,044, and we have a sapphire listed for $8,000. Like I said, obviously the supply of these is not already very high to begin with. The supply is going to be split across most websites. So if you look at, not Steam, because these are too expensive to sell on Steam, but if you look at, depending on what website you look at to sell on, might see some different prices, might see some different sales, but like I said, I like to look at Buff. It's going to give you the most consistent outcome, stuff like that. We do have other knives, a lot of knives going for above $1,000 right now, so if you were lucky enough to even take advantage of those bugged cases the first couple of days where they were dropping the Dopplers at insane rates, it seems like, you've made a nice little chunk of money, but still, you have the survival knife Doppler looking strong, skeleton knife Marble Fade, still a very, very good pull, survival knife Ultraviolet, skeleton knife Damascus Steel, really any of the skeleton knives are going to be pretty nice. We have the Nomad knife in Doppler, we have that in minimal wear and factory new. Skeleton knife Rusco, even sitting at around $900. I don't know if they have any of the skeleton knife vanillas dropping, however, because that is something, some people were pulling those, so that is something I kind of wanted to look at as well. We do have some vanilla skeleton knives, obviously on the market and stuff like that, so that's something to watch out for. Some people were actually getting vanilla skeleton knives, even though you weren't supposed to from the fever case, so I guess that'd maybe be one of the worst outcomes you get, even though vanilla is supposed to be pretty good. But yeah, that's where we're at as far as the knife prices, stuff like that at this point. Of course, also wanted to look at the fever cases themselves, because this is a very, very big thing. A ton of people were just redeeming the fever case. And this is actually what I did. I took all of the stars that I had. I just had stars from like playing the game. I was not saving stars specifically for an update. I was just playing the game and getting stars. And especially as the ROIs on all the old collections started to drop, because they really had fallen over the past like month or so before the fever case and all this new stuff was introduced. So I wasn't as incentivized or as excited about redeeming my stars on the existing stuff. So I was just kind of just chilling, whatever I had. Some stars, I redeemed them all in fever cases, and obviously I did I think a 50 fever case opening for a video. I think I bought 90 fever cases in total, so I sold 40 of them this morning. I sold mine for about $2.85 each on the Steam Marketplace. I know on Steam they've gone up to like $3, something like that, but I was happy with $2.85. That's fine, again, for something that in theory costs me 80 cents, selling that for $2.85. That's a fine come up. But yeah, right now on Buff163, these things are selling for $1.89, and again, that's cash. So obviously that's going to be a little bit different than Steam, but this is still a nice little return, going from 80 cents or theoretical 80 cents on your stars, being able to sell that for $1.89 even in cash. That's a very, very nice return. So people who, I know there's a ton of people who had the strategy of saving their stars for if and when new content came out. And I was kind of always telling people you shouldn't really be doing that. But when I was telling people not to do that, I was telling them that when the ROIs for the original Armory stuff were really, really good. And I still believe that if the ROIs for the stuff in the Armory is good, you shouldn't be saving your stars, because you don't know if and when a new update's going to come out. Again, it took around 6 months for new stuff to come out. And in those 6 months, yeah, you could have been saving stars, and maybe you bought a ton of stuff right now and you made a nice little amount of money on the fever case and some of the new stuff. That's awesome. But in that time, you also could have been redeeming that ROI and running up your bankroll, running up your account. You would have maybe ended up with the same or more money in the long run than if you just waited for the fever case, especially, we didn't know when this update was going to drop. Now, also, you got a little bit lucky. The fever case is a very, very insane case. People love the fever case. The new golds are crazy. You have the alt print stream. You have some really, really nice other skins. So this worked out really well. But if something like the gallery case would have come out, as like the new update or something similar to the gallery case, I don't know if we would have seen as high or as exciting of prices, because one thing about the fever case is so many people had stars ready to redeem and so many people got this case, but since the case was so insane, so many people opened it. And then you also had the glitch with the Doppler knives that made people open it even more. So I think you got a little bit lucky that a lot of people who were redeeming these were looking to open them and not necessarily sell them. If it would have been a case like the gallery, people would have been less incentivized to open it right away and would have been more incentivized to sell them off, and the prices could have been down a little bit. So even though this time it did work, saving your stars worked out very well because the old ROIs dropped and then we got an insane update. And hey, we all made a nice amount of money, but that doesn't mean it's always going to be the case. And again, that doesn't even necessarily mean that you end up with more money this way than you would have been if you would have just been consistently redeeming your stars, because you still would have had stars left over when the new update came out. You still could have sold that stuff. But yeah, I did redeem, like I said, I redeemed about 90 cases. I opened 50 of them. I sold 40 of them. And I kept the industrial grade skins that I opened from these cases, but then I ended up selling off the other stuff. I pulled an AK-47 Searing Rage, I think it's called. And then I pulled like one purple and one Stat Track purple, so I ended up selling those off. So overall, I did really, really well on this new update. I'm happy with it. And yeah, I don't know. Obviously, the fever case is on my radar as like a long-term hold, a long-term investment, but I mean, we're talking 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 months from now before I'm even considering buying any fever cases. So I no longer own any fever cases. I do think it's a really cool case. I think it's super fun to open. Yeah, this is cool. Then we also have these are the fever case items. I don't want to have knives. I don't know if there's a way to, just sort by normal. I want to take a look at the prices of the fever case items. So we have the off print stream in factory new going for around $984 right now. Minimal wear $752, $389 for field tested, $300 for well worn, and it looks like we don't have any battle scar just yet. Some of the other skins, again, you have the Shinobu, really, really cool Glock that people are definitely excited about. $121 so far. You have the Searing Rage at $95.74. And again, I think overall these prices are going to drop because as we go on longer, more and more people are going to have more and more marketable items. This is the first day. This is the best day. If you got stuff and opened up stuff the very first day, it's marketable today. You are in like an isolated environment. The prices are going to be inflated. I do think stuff's going to drop over time. So if you had any of this stuff, I would be selling it. Again, I had a Searing Rage. I sold it right away. I think prices are only going to drop from here. And even if you want to rebuy it, you can probably just rebuy it later for even cheaper. But we have the UMP 45 KL factory at 79. We have the FAMAS bad trip at 68. So that is kind of interesting there. I wanted to see on the lower end of stuff how even, maybe what the cheap stuff's going for. Even the cheap end stuff, the worst outcomes you can get are like 18 cents. Again, these prices are probably going to drop a lot as well, but I am interested in the long run for sure. I am interested in like the low tier rarity quality from the Fever case because I don't know. We're going to get to see with the Gallery case if and when it ever goes discontinued, and if and when it does. Obviously, I think the Fever case will follow a similar timeline trajectory and stuff like that. But I definitely think the trade up fodder and the trade up skins in this collection are going to end up being really, really, really good because obviously people are going to love that alt print stream and are going to want to be trading up to it a ton. We also have, I believe this is the Train 2025 collection as another thing I want to check out the prices and everything. We have the Long Dog sitting at factory new right now, $12.15. Obviously, it seems like less of this stuff's going to be on the market because I think more people were going for the Fever case over this Train collection. But if this has really nice ROI and the prices are up strong on this, obviously people will start redeeming this as well. We have a big difference between the factory new and the minimal wear right now, but that's because only one Long Dog factory new is listed, so we'll probably see that price come down a little bit. We have the M4A4 Hellish sitting at $150. We have the Latte Rush at $142 in factory new. We have the Tech 9 Whiteout in minimal wear at $39. We have the new Zeus in factory new at $27, so that stuff's pretty interesting as well. And then obviously we have the old Armory stuff, which I want to take a look at real quick as well. We can see the Be the Monster, the CMYK, the Fade, and the Vaporwave, how those prices have been getting affected and impacted. We can pull up the price trend on that. And this is obviously the AKB, the Mantra, and factory new. Like I said, this stuff has definitely dropped. We look at like April 1st when this update came out. This is the Be the Mantra at about $744. Right now, the Be the Mantra down to $597. So a nice little drop off there. Again, these are definitely big buy the dip opportunities. If this is stuff you've been wanting as a play skin, as investment, something you believe in long term, whatever, you have opportunities to buy all this stuff right now. We have the CMYK as well. Right before this update came out, it was about $650. Now it's down to about $587, so maybe not as big of a drop off for the CMYK. We have the M4A4 or the M4A1S Fade. This thing right now, before the update, was about $451. It looks like it's actually gone up a little bit. Maybe just obviously that's probably, this is minimal wear. I don't know why the heck it pulled up minimal wear. Minimal wear not going to give us as good of a data. But this is about $437 before, now down to about $417. So this is pushing $400. And I saw some even on CS Float yesterday. Some were selling for below $400. So that's something to keep an eye out on. And then again, you have to keep in mind, as more and more of the Fever case stuff becomes tradable, we might see some of these Armory prices drop even further as people start to, sell this stuff to actually buy some of the new Fever stuff once it becomes, in a price that they are interested in or whatever. And then obviously with the M4A1S Vaporwave coming from that Gallery case in factory new, this thing has seen a nice little drop off as well, going from, like 185 down to 172. So across the board, prices are really insane. Some very, very expensive knives coming out of the Fever case right now, some expensive skins as well. Lots of cool stuff. Like I said, if you have any of this stuff, maybe not the knives, but especially if you have skins from the Fever case or the Train collection or whatever, I would probably be looking to sell it sooner rather than later. I think it's possible prices jump up a little bit, but I think over time, over the next 6 months, we're probably going to see prices drop a significant amount. And you want to take advantage of these early buying or early selling opportunities while you can, because so many people don't even have the opportunity to sell right now. So the market's probably going to get flooded in the next couple of days. But there also are a ton of cool items that are going to have a lot of genuine demand. So who knows what's going to happen next. But pretty much it was video today, guys. Hopefully catch you in the next one. Until then, peace.